Hello and welcome to a project vlog. I am currently reading the Gem World series by Fred Wild. I have the third book out on ARC and I thought I would reread the first one, finally read the second one and the third one, and just make it into a little project video, which is something I want to do more of on the channel. So I am here with thoughts on the first book. I am folding my daughter's laundry, so I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. I'm also working, so three birds with one stone. Mostly because I don't know that I do have thoughts about the first book in the series, and that is the Jewel and Her Lapidary. I think that's how you say that word. But I don't know that there's a lot. I don't know how much I want to say about it, let's say that. So I read this when it first came out in, 2020? Maybe pre-2020? You can see my cat back there. And I read this. I purchased this. I pre-ordered it, in fact, I think, and I read it and then I returned it. True story. I did not like it. And honestly, on a second read, I am just as underwhelmed as the first time. So this is the story of two teenage girls over the course of, I think it's 2 or 3 days, as they survive like this military coup. One of the girls is the princess and the other girl is her lapidary, which is, she is the girl who, in this world, you can hear gems, they talk to you, but they can also drive you to madness if you're not careful. And lapidaries are assigned to royals, and their royals are what they call their jewels, and they use the actual gems and jewels like the rubies, sapphires, topazes, etc. They use the powers that those gems grant to assist their royals. So like they have these oaths, they wear these jewelry, this jewelry stuff that binds their powers so they don't go mad, because the gems can drive you mad very easily because they're always talking to you, that sort of thing. So the two girls survive this coup. The lapidary, her father is the one who instigated it. He poisons the entire royal family except for the princess and his daughter. He is driven mad by the gems, and within like 15 pages, I mean this ebook is like 53 pages, but within the first like 5 pages he does all this and then he kills himself. And the girls are left to wait for this invading force that's going to come and take over the land. And the invaders want to marry their prince to the princess that's left alive and take control of the jewels and their powers. And it's that story, and it takes place over the course of like 2 to 3 days, and the choices that the girls make to save the kingdom in the ways that they can and deal with the consequences. So the problem I had then and the problem I have now is that the way the story was written had me very confused almost the entire time over who was who. It's not until the very end of the story that I finally, after reading it twice, fully understood who Sima was and who Lin was. Which one was a jewel and which one was the lapidary. And then at the end it doesn't matter because we're left with one character for reasons, and her name, she takes another name and it's Malin. And so I don't know if it was the writing style that just wasn't working for me, the way it flipped rapidly between viewpoints, or what about this, but it sadly didn't work the second time around, 3 years later. I think it's 3 years for me. So not a whole lot that I can say about it. It does set up a very interesting world, like I said, a world in which the gems of the world have powers. They whisper things. It's usually like one-word lines like revenge, power, run, things like that. And it is kind of this retelling of history, and I understand what Fred Wild was going for with this, and that kind of like how history changes based on the teller and how we lose important details. The whole story is framed with these little segments of a travel guide for the area that's like hundreds of years in the future. And it's talking about, oh, visit the gardens where this is rumored to have happened, and then it tells the story of this coup that takes place in those gardens. So like I see what she was doing, but it just, execution wasn't there for me. So I am now reading the Fire Opal Mechanism, and so far it's got a very same feel to it. It's a longer story, but as far as I can tell, it's a very similar kind of idea in that there is a conquering force that has come to this kingdom, and it is taking the books that record history and tell the stories of this place, and it's wanting to put them into this like collective thing. I haven't got the details on that yet, and we're following a librarian archivist who is trying to save certain texts. She's squirreling them away and hiding them, and we'll see where she goes from there. The final book is called the Book of Gems, and the Book of Gems as an item, as a book, has actually been mentioned once already, I do believe, in the Fire Opal Mechanism, and I think it's all going to tie back into the idea of the gems that were lost, the powers that were lost from these gems in the first book. So we'll see what happens. I will hopefully have another update for you guys soon once I finish this one. I think this one is like 150, 120 pages. But yeah, so far I'm hoping they improve. Like I said, the first book I was really excited for when it first came out, and it didn't work for me. So I'm hoping second and third are a much bigger hit. I will talk to you guys in a minute, actually, I guess. There's Pixie. Bye, Pixie. Alright, time for an update. It took me forever to get situated, but here we are. I am like 80% of the way through the Fire Opal Mechanism, which is the second Gem World book, and my progress on this has been, this is fine. I don't really like this. Oh my god, what the hell is happening? This is kind of creepy and I love it. So, in the span of like 100 pages, Miss Fran Wild has taken me all over the emotional spectrum. So this is following a cast of characters, frankly. There is a librarian who is attempting to save some books from this group called the Pressmen, who are collecting books to share knowledge with everyone. They somehow are creating these compendiums of knowledge, but they need all of the books in the kingdoms to do this, and they print these compendiums and they hand them out, and the compendiums contain all knowledge. And she's attempting to save books at her library. There is also a thief. She ends up with the librarian on some travels. I don't know how much of this I want to be spoilery, but they end up tangled together with the Fire Opal Mechanism of the title. And there is a third character, a young man, and he ends up with the Pressmen, and he is showing us what is actually happening and how the Pressmen are being powered. Their whole mechanism, these compendiums of knowledge, are being created by this machine that is being powered by another gem, an emerald, not a fire opal. This is tying into the first book because in the first book we see the gems and the powers that they have and what they can do and how they talk to people. And in this book, it's many hundreds, maybe, of years in the future in the same world. They're not in the valley anymore. They're in a different kingdom, a nearby one. But we're dealing with the ramifications, the fallout of these gems still existing, and the knowledge of the gems and how to deal with them being lost. And there's only 2 gems that we know of so far, but their powers are so vast and great that it is like really messing with things. I thought this was gonna go a very like political, I'm making a statement with my writing sort of way, and it wasn't that I was disagreeing with what I thought she was trying to say. It was what I just didn't like the way she was saying it, but I think it is more of just a fantasy story, which is what I wanted. I just wanted a fantasy story, and this is doing a good job, though traditionally I don't like time travel, and there is some time travel in this, so if you don't like time travel, stay away, but if you do like time travel, this is one of them. But I am almost done with this. I will probably finish this, if not in the next 20 minutes or so. I will finish this tonight. I have to take my daughter to the dermatologist, but this will be finished today because, wow, it went from, am I going to DNF this and cancel this project, to, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens, really quickly. So keep that in mind. If you are reading this, it does kind of take a turn in a weird way, especially the further in you get with the Pressman and the Emerald that is powering their machine. That gets really wild. Really wild. But I'll update you guys again later. I could be a sunshine. We're back for the final update to this vlog project, which is a long time coming, I'm gonna be honest. I finished the Book of Gems about a week ago, and in the week since, my life has rapidly unwrapped and just chaos. Not the fun kind either. So we're finally back on track. The holidays are over, which is its own kind of chaos on top of the pre-existing chaos that is now there. So here's the update. I did finish the Fire Opal Mechanism, and the ending on that was very good. I liked the peak on that. It took a very sharp turn into the horror aspect of fantasy, like a fantasy horror briefly, and it was very good. It was very good. I really liked that. The ending was a little anticlimactic. I'm not sure that I loved how cinched up and neatly tied the ending was, but it worked well considering it's a novella. It's a common problem you see with novellas. The endings are kind of a little neat and tidy. The Book of Gems, the third book, which comes out in June, that one, to be honest, I think it went down for me again. That novella was very dry. So this takes place a few generations in the future from the Fire Opal Mechanism, so this is even further in the future from the Jewel and Her Lapidary. And this is the story of a scholar whose heirloom has been stolen from her family by the mentor she worked for, and that mentor then took off to the Jeweled Valley where these digs are being done to dig up jewels and the remnants of the empire or the kingdom that used to exist there, which was featured in the Jewel and Her Lapidary. So you've got a direct tie between the two there. Now, some of the things I didn't like about this, I think, is indicative of the series as a whole, and it took me getting to this third book to figure that out. She is going to the Jeweled Valley after her mentor, who has gone missing. She takes off after him to try and find him and, recover her stuff. It was very dry. It was very dry, and for a fantasy series, it's very light on the fantasy. And this book especially really wanted to focus in on the injustice of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The academic setting to women, which, yes, is a truth. It's a problem. It's reality. It's out there. But I have read that so much in so many other places that 20 pages of it, 20 plus pages of it out of a novella that was 100, just barely over 100 pages, felt like a lot. And then the main character, Dev, is also of this character archetype that I despise in fantasy, and that is the cynic or the disbeliever. You could hit them over the head, especially Dev, with the magic, and they will say, "Magic isn't real. That's not what this is. I'm going to ignore its existence and focus on recovering what I want and move on." And At one point, I was so frustrated. I huffed, and out loud, I looked at the Kindle and said, "Honey, you just watched a man get eaten by gems. That's magic." So my frustration, I felt, was well founded. It also didn't help to have a cynic character like this in a set of novellas where we pre-established know that the magic is there. We've seen the effects of the magic, and we've seen the effects of ignoring the magic. I understand the use of the cynic character because we're establishing yet again that the loss of history indicates the loss of knowledge, and that loss of knowledge is a risk in itself, yada yada yada. I also really disliked that we get a second point of view in this book, and then she's just dropped halfway through. Just story reasons, something happens to her that she's unable to verbally speak, but she still was there, she still participated, and she still was an active character in what was happening. So we should have still been able to have gotten her view, but we were focused in on Dev and her cynicism, and I just was very frustrated. I did really like, now all that to say, I did really like some things about this. There were some really good strengths here, and I could actually really see a vast improvement in the Jewel and Her Lapidary, which was like 3+ years ago, to this book. The setting felt much more realized. It was a lot clearer in what was happening. I liked the outside characters around Dev and our, I can't remember the secondary character's name. I liked the setup, the way she had everything set up, so I liked the pieces around the main character in this. But maybe if the story had been told from a different perspective, it would have been stronger for me. I wonder if instead of focusing in Dev's head, we would have focused in on that other girl's head, if it would have worked better. Her story was more compelling. Her mother was missing. She had ties to the missing mentor, all of this stuff. I ended up giving, for final ratings, Jewel and Her Lapidary stays at a 2-star. It did not get better. The third book I would give like a 3 or a 3.5. I'm sorry, the second book I would give a 3 or a 3.5, and the third book I would give maybe a 3. I don't know if I'll continue with the series, if there are more. We'll see what the premise of the next one is, if there's another one, or if there's a full-length novel. I don't know if I could commit to a full-length novel with how dry that last one was, especially, but we'll see. I would recommend this if you want more of the idea of this. So the idea of a power lost, a kingdom of powerful jewels with magic that enabled them to do powerful things, and how the kingdom that knows how to use those jewels is lost. The key to the magic is lost, and then how that reverberates down the air, the centuries to the people. How those powers come back up, and it's, no one knows how to use it. No one knows how to stop this madness. No one knows how to harness these gems properly, or what to do when one is gone mad, that sort of thing. But if you're going in for magic and character interest, I don't know that I could say these are going to be a good pickup. So it's one of those, if it sounds interesting in one aspect to you, I would say get it. If not, I would maybe say pass. They're very quick. I would also recommend, if you're going to get them, read them quickly. So read them one right after the other, because at one point, even in the third novella, we see a glimpse of a scene from the first one that, had I not read the first one twice, I would have missed that. So if you read them quickly, all 3 together, which would probably amount almost to a whole novel's worth of pages, you would enjoy that a lot more. So a bit of a on this one. Hopefully my next ARC vlog project will go a little smoother. I plan on reading the, let's see, hold on. Let me find it. I plan on reading Castles in Their Bones and Stardust in Their Veins, which I also have. So that should be coming up very soon. I plan on starting this after I finish my current read. So more on that to come. And I guess that is it for this project. Let me know if you've read any of these in this series, and your thoughts. Did you enjoy them? What did you think of the magic? I'm interested to see other viewpoints, because it seems kind of split. A lot of people really, really love these, or they don't work for them. And I am interested to see where other people fall. But that is it from me. I will talk to you guys again soon. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll talk to you then. Bye. Yeah.